You are about to hear a discussion of a first in the history of exploration. The most distant human-made object, NASA's Voyager 1 spacecraft, is in interstellar space, the space between the stars.
A 47-year-old spaceship was salvaged by humans after NASA's AI failed. In the 1970s, a small spacecraft was launched 15.6 billion miles from Earth in the great blackness of interstellar space when it abruptly stopped talking. Voyager 1 started sending total gibberish, an unintelligible stream of ones and zeros, after decades of faultless functioning. Even NASA's most advanced AI systems failed to identify or resolve the issue. However, using instruction manuals from the 1970s and code from decades ago, a tiny group of human engineers accomplished what artificial intelligence was unable to. Once again demonstrating that human ingenuity still surpasses computer intelligence at the furthest frontier, they successfully brought humanity's most remote explorer back online. NASA's engineering team spent 5 months diagnosing and fixing faulty memory in a computer that could not match the processing power of a modern toaster. Communicate over such a huge distance that it takes 45 hours to deliver one message. This amazing tale is at the nexus of our most ambitious technological accomplishment and curiosity, which is humanity's oldest quality, a little probe that is still operational almost 50 years after it was launched. A signal in the dark goes haywire as they continue to explore the area between stars. Consider this. You're sitting in NASA's mission control in November 2023, when all of a sudden the data coming in from the furthest flung man-made object ever made changes to pure gibberish. The distance of the spaceship is nearly unthinkable. It is so far away that radio transmissions must travel at the speed of light for 22.5 hours to reach it. That's precisely what happened when Voyager 1, which was launched in 1977, started sending repetitive, incomprehensible data. We knew the spacecraft was alive because it continued to communicate with Earth via radio. However, the engineering and scientific information it conveyed was now totally useless. The spaceship appeared to be suffering from a severe case of aphasia. Although it was able to hear us, it was unable to respond intelligibly. According to current Voyager project scientist Linda Spilker, imagine attempting to diagnose a computer problem over the phone with someone 15 billion miles away, with a 45-hour delay between each question and answer. Imagine now that the computer is from the 1970s, that it uses less electricity than a refrigerator light bulb, and that it has just 69.63 kilobytes of total memory. The timing of the issue couldn't have been worse. No previous spacecraft had ever investigated the enigmatic space between star systems known as the interstellar medium, which Voyager 1 was gathering groundbreaking data about. Recently, the probe discovered a faint, continuous plasma hum that scientists compared to light rain, giving them hitherto unheard of information about the density of interstellar gas. All of that valuable information was now hidden behind a barrier of tainted signals. The AI at NASA reaches its limit. NASA used its most sophisticated artificial intelligence technologies to identify the issue as soon as the crisis started. Using enormous databases of past anomalies and simulations, these advanced AI diagnostic tools had previously assisted in troubleshooting difficulties with the Mars rovers and other spacecraft in order to pinpoint issues and offer fixes. However, Voyager 1 left the AI systems absolutely baffled. The results are not the AI's responsibility. The human is, the individual is, correct? NASA Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer David Salvanini explained. Therefore, we must first take responsibility for that and recognize the obligations that accompany it. When you consider it, it is absurd. We are able to detect black holes, billions of light years distant, and deploy rovers on Mars. However, many insurance firms still attempt to undercut people following an accident as if it were the Stone Age here on Earth. In fact, your lawsuit can be worth millions if you are ever gravely injured. For this reason, you might require an excellent legal team to fight for the money you are due. Because of this, a lot of people look into Morgan & Morgan, the biggest injury law practice in America. They don't accept mediocre offers. They have obtained $12 million in Florida and $26 million in Philadelphia for victims of injuries, which is 30 to 40 times the initial amount granted by insurance companies. Here is the physics of it in the real world. You don't have to pay if they lose. No hidden costs or upfront fees. Unless they prevail in your case, it is totally free. The entire procedure has even been upgraded. Using your smartphone, you can communicate with your legal team and submit your claim. You are just a few clicks away from potentially changing your life, and your case could be worth millions if you are ever gravely wounded. It's quite simple. By scanning the QR code on the screen or visiting www.fourthpeople.com/specialize. As mentioned in the description below, you can begin your claim with Morgan & Morgan right now. Let's return to the video now. Music. In this instance, humans were solely responsible since the AI systems malfunctioned for a number of important reasons. To begin with, Voyager 1 is unique. No previous spacecraft has gone this far from Earth or been in operation for 47 years. The AI's training data had no such cases. Second, the AI was unable to do real-time testing or analysis due to the severe communication delay. The findings of each diagnostic effort had to be weighted for 45 hours. Third, AI systems educated on modern systems are unfamiliar with the spacecraft because its technology from the 1970s predates modern computing design. Most significantly, the nature of the issue necessitated something AI does not yet have: innovative problem solving within extreme limitations. MacGyver of the space age, the human solution. The Voyager team put in months of nonstop effort to identify the issue, assembling hints from the jumbled data. They eventually found that the Flight Data System, or FDS, had about 3% of its memory damaged. All of the data was incomprehensible since a single memory chip that held important parts of the program code had failed. Either normal wear and tear from more than 46 years of use or damage by an intense particle hitting the chip from interstellar space are the possible causes. The idea that a single subatomic particle from a far-off star could incapacitate humanity's most intrepid traveler is astounding. According to Linda Speiler, that's why it took so long to identify the precise issue. All of those bits of code needed to be moved to a new location in the memory, and we did just that. However, this is where human ingenuity really came into its own. The damaged memory could not be easily replaced or repaired by the engineers. They were forced to make do with what they had. Moving the tainted software code to different parts of the FDS memory was their clever fix. They divided the impacted code into portions and placed them in several locations, altering the code sections to make sure they continued to work properly as a whole, because no single location was big enough to hold all of the affected code. All references to the moved code should be updated. An AI wouldn't come up with a solution like this. In addition to technical expertise, it requires creative problem solving and the capacity to come up with novel uses for scarce resources. Human creativity was necessary. Voyager project manager Suzanne Dodd remarked, "It never ceases to amaze me when they just keep going, even though we never know for sure what's going to happen with the Voyagers. We have had a lot of abnormalities, and they are becoming more difficult, but thus far, we have been lucky to bounce back. The furthest thing a human has ever touched. We must recognize the remarkable nature of Voyager 1 in order to fully appreciate this accomplishment." Currently, Voyager 1 is 15.6 billion miles from Earth and moving at about 38,026 miles per hour, or 17 kilometers per second. A distance so great that our brains cannot fathom it. It would take more than 31 million years to get that far in a car at highway speed. The spacecraft is now so far away that it takes 22.5 hours for a radio transmission traveling at the speed of light to reach there. For a one-way transmission, that is almost a whole Earth day. In contrast, depending on orbital locations, communications to Mars take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. The spacecraft's radioisotope thermoelectric generators, RTGs, which transform heat from decaying plutonium into electricity, require only 267.9 watts of power, or roughly the same as 4 light bulbs in a typical home. As the plutonium fuel degrades, this power source drops by roughly 4 watts annually. Most astonishingly, Voyager 1's overall memory is only 69.6363 kilobases, which is less than the average email. The memory on your smartphone is most likely at least 100,000 times more. Nevertheless, the engineering solution worked on April 20th, 2024, in spite of these amazing restrictions. For the first time in 5 months, Voyager 1 started transmitting intelligible engineering data back to Earth. All 4 research instruments were completely functional once more by June 13, 2024. Humans have previously outperformed AI. This was not a singular occurrence. Human engineers have frequently resolved issues that automatic systems were unable to resolve throughout the Voyager mission. The attitude articulation and control system of Voyager 1, which maintains the spacecraft's antenna pointing toward Earth, started transmitting jumbled status data in 2022. Engineers found that the AACS had begun to distort telemetry data by passing it through an onboard computer that had malfunctioned years prior. Since this unexpected routing issue did not fit into the expected behavior patterns automated diagnostic systems were unable to detect. By merely instructing the AACS to resume delivering data to the appropriate computer, human engineers were able to identify the problem and put a solution in place. Even more amazing is the fact that in 2017, NASA engineers were able to restart a set of thrusters on Voyager 1 that hadn't been utilized in 37 years since 1980. The standard attitude control thrusters had deteriorated, necessitating the deployment of these trajectory correction maneuver TCM thrusters. This was no straightforward reactivation. These rockets may be damaged just by turning them on because deep space was extremely cold. Before activation, a meticulous warm-up routine had to be created by human engineers. An intricate process that called for discretion and ingenuity that automated technologies were unable to supply. A voyage beyond the realm of imagination. The history of Voyager 1 started far before the majority of us were ever born. Originally intended for a 5-year mission to research Jupiter and Saturn, it was launched on September 5, 1977, during the Carter administration. Few people thought it would still be in use almost 50 years later. Voyager 1 took the first ever single-frame photograph of Earth and the Moon from a distance of 7.25 million miles, just 13 days after launch. It found numerous new moons and Jupiter's weak ring system on its closest approach in March 1979. It passed Saturn and its enigmatic moon Titan in November 1980. The iconic pale blue dot image of Earth was taken by Voyager 1 in February 1990 from a distance of 6 billion kilometers, revealing our planet as a tiny dot amid the expanse of space. Earth takes up less than a pixel in this picture, serving as a sobering reminder of our position in the universe. Voyager 1 made history on August 25, 2012, when it crossed the helipause, which separates our solar system from interstellar space. No other spacecraft has ever ventured into the immense unknown between stars, and it became the first man-made object to do so. Voyager 1 has altered our perception of the solar system and beyond during its voyage. It showed that rather than being a clear line, the border between our solar system and interstellar space is a thick, complicated area where particles can travel in both directions via what physicists refer to as flux tubes or magnetic highways. The spacecraft has demonstrated that the interstellar medium is disturbed and impacted by the sun, rather than being silent as previously believed. Up to 10 times as much pressure has been placed on our heliosphere by the 2 to 3 times greater magnetic field in interstellar space than scientists had predicted. The golden record, a timeless message. Even while Voyager 1's scientific findings never cease to astound us, its greatest gift to humanity may not be scientific but rather cultural. Similar gold-plated copper discs with sounds and pictures chosen to depict a variety of life and culture on Earth are carried by both Voyager spacecraft. Along with 115 photographs, these golden recordings also contain sounds of nature, such as wind, thunder, and animal cries. They include musical choices by Bach, Beethoven, Chuck Berry, and others from many cultures and eras. They provide greetings in 55 languages, both ancient and contemporary. However, the launching of this bottle into the cosmic ocean says something very hopeful about life on this planet. As astrophysicist Carl Schon, who led the committee that created the records, stated, the spacecraft will be encountered and the record played only if there are advanced spacefaring civilizations in interstellar space. The Golden Record is humanity's first attempt to reach across the stars, not only with technology but also with art, music, and the core of what makes us human, even if extraterrestrial intelligence never finds Voyager 1. Collaboration between humans and machines in the future. This is not an AI failure story. The narrative highlights the distinct advantages of both artificial and human intelligence and how they work in tandem. The AI algorithms at NASA are excellent at sifting through enormous volumes of data and finding patterns that human observers would miss. By identifying abnormalities and intriguing discoveries for human researchers to examine, they are able to evaluate the gigabytes of data that come in from spacecraft every day. Humans are still superior, however, when it comes to solving problems creatively, adjusting to novel circumstances, and making decisions based on scant knowledge. This is particularly true when working with older systems like Voyager 1, where the answers call for creativity, intuition, and the capacity to think beyond the box. According to NASA scientist Giada Ari, AI techniques will let us free up processing resources from our own brains by handling a lot of the preliminary legwork on challenging jobs. However, since we still need to verify the data, these techniques won't be able to replace people anytime soon. Effective cooperation between artificial and human intellect, each concentrating on their respective strengths, is probably what the future of space travel holds. Regular analysis and pattern identification can be handled by AI, freeing up human experts to concentrate on new issues, strategic choices, and innovative problem resolution. The lesson is that human inventiveness is still invaluable. The voyage of Voyager 1 continues. NASA anticipates that the spacecraft will remain operational until at least 2025 and maybe into the 2030s, possibly commemorating the launch's 50th anniversary with careful power management. Voyager 1 will eventually shut down as its power supply ultimately drops below the threshold required for its instruments and transmitter, maybe within our lifetimes. The spaceship will still go through interstellar space, though, even after that. It will come within 1.7 light years of a star in Ursa Minor in roughly 40,000 years. Additionally, Voyager 1 will continue to transport its golden record, a time capsule of mankind at the end of the 20th century, into the cosmic ocean long after our civilization has changed in ways we cannot fathom. The story of Voyager 1's recent communication crisis and the human solution that AI couldn't provide reminds us of something fundamental. As former NASA Associate Administrator John Grunsfeld remarked, someday humans will leave our cocoon in the solar system to explore beyond our home system. Voyager will have led the way. The value of human creativity should not be overlooked as we create ever more advanced artificial intelligence. The spacecraft have succeeded beyond expectations, and I have cherished the opportunity to work with so many talented and dedicated people on this mission, said the late Ed Stone, the scientist who oversaw the Voyager project for 50 years. The journey has been amazing. This voyage is still going on today, led by the universe's oldest intelligence rather than artificial intelligence, human ingenuity, and our insatiable curiosity for the unique human component. One important reality about our technological future is shown by the tale of Voyager 1 and NASA's encounter with AI limitations. Even though artificial intelligence is developing at an astounding rate, human ingenuity still has a special capacity to overcome unheard-of obstacles. As we continue to explore the unknown, human ingenuity continues to be our most important resource, as seen by the incredible recovery of Voyager 1. a 47-year-old spacecraft with 70 kilobits of memory, broadcasting from the edge of interstellar space under the most severe conditions, both technologically and in space. Our ongoing investigation of the last frontier will depend on this collaboration between artificial and human intelligence. Press the like button immediately if you thought this video was fantastic. This enables more space lovers like you to see our content. To ensure that you don't miss our weekly in-depth explorations of space, click subscribe and enable notifications if you wish to join us in unraveling the secrets of the cosmos. What do you believe will be NASA's next engineering marvel? Leave your predictions in the space provided below. Check out our playlist on humanity's greatest space accomplishments, which is linked in the description if you like this Voyager 1 tale. Keep in mind that we add new space-related content every week, including information on exoplanets, black holes, and the hunt for extraterrestrial life. Join our intergalactic community by subscribing today. Till then, keep searching.